remember when I was a child and the story ends, and I would always ask my mother, and what happened after? And whatever story she would read to me, I would say, but what happened after? And even if the dragon was dead and they were married, or the man was dead and the dragon was alive, or the woman, whatever constellation there was, I always had this question of what happened after. And when I grew up a little bit, I remember she told me, listen, you don't want to know what happened after. Because once you reach the end, the ultimate end of a good story, there is no, you don't want one word to be written after that. Because also in life, there's a famous version of an Israeli playwright called Ho Ho Yulia. It's about Romeo and Julia. What would have happened if Romeo hadn't died and they would stay together and would live Romeo and Julia like a marriage life, and we meet them again 20 years afterward as a marriage couple sitting in their living room. And it's a very tragical play. It's even more tragical than the original one. Because you see what happens after.
Yeah.
So when I think about the way Israel was founded, it was also told to my generation like this amazing story, like a fairy tale. The Jews wandered for 2,000 years. They didn't have a country. You had the Holocaust, and then out of this terrible misery came out, after 2,000 years of longing, the Jewish state. And it's supposed to be the end. But then you ask, but what happened after? And then it starts to get more complicated. So in One Night Markovitch, the first phase is Second World War, and the Jews don't even know if they're going to have a state or if almost the entire Jewish population is going to be wiped out by the Nazis. That's the before. And then you have during, and that's the War of Independence of Israel. And those people are fighting for their lives. And by this time, they just want this dream of 2,000 years of having a state to come true. They don't think about the Palestinians because for them, they are the heroes of the stories, and the other ones are the bad guys of the stories. And then you have a Jewish state. And in the story, this is the moment when all the characters in the story start to go a little bit crazy, because I think when you long for something for 2,000 years and you finally get it, or when you say we need a democracy for so many years, and then you get your democracy, getting what you want, you think it's the end, but actually it's just the beginning. And I think getting what you want after 2,000 years of longing is bound to make you a little bit crazy. So the last part of the novel of One Night Markovitch is after the after. It's what happens after the man gets the woman, but against her will. What happens after the Jews get their land and find out it's a little bit more complicated. What happens when the other character suddenly gets the child he always wanted from the woman who smells like oranges, but it's not the child he dreamt about. It's like this big question for me about time is what happens after.